All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today to kick off the elections process for the Technologists for the Public Good. My name is Jen Noina. My pronouns are she, her, and I am president of the board for this organization. I am currently located in sunny Brooklyn, New York, on land previously occupied by the Lenape and Canarsie people. And I'm just looking forward to getting the chances to soak up the sun and also eat a lot of ice cream. In today's event, we're gonna spend some time describing the election process, explain how to vote, and then we'll hear from 6 of our candidates for 2 of our open board seats. And then I'll go ahead and pass it on to our Vice President, Stephanie Kane, to wrap up today's event. We'll hold some time for any questions you might have about the election process or voting, and she'll go over some next steps as well. And as always, there is a lot happening in our world today, so please take the space that you need. You can leave your video on or off, raise your hand if you have any questions, or just use the chat to engage as we're going along. And then I know it's kind of like a strange hour for everyone, so we are going to be recording today's event afterwards if anyone wants to refer to it later or needs to step away for a moment. So Technologists for the Public Good just celebrated our 1-year anniversary earlier this month. Well, much of our work was already, well underway. Even before then, we officially kicked off early June last year. And so I was just reflecting a little bit. We've now got about 550 members spanning all levels of government, the private sector, academia, and other fields as well. And so I just want to spend some time saying thank you to our community, our outgoing and even our current board of directors who have been here all for this entire year, and everyone who is here today. And here's to continuing the work of maturing our field, supporting our workforce, and ultimately delivering people-centered services to those who need it. So switching gears back to the election, we do have 3 open seats to join our current board of directors seen here. 2 of these board seats will be elected in this process, and we've got 1 seat as an officer position to be our organization's treasurer. We opened this seat up for applications and nominations, but since it requires a specialized skill set, we're going to have this seat go through a separate process. And so with so many nominees, the nomination committee narrowed the slate to a manageable set of candidates for this election process. The committee carefully reviewed the nominees' information provided and considered our goals as an organization, as well as our commitment to include a diverse pool of candidates in terms of race, gender, sector, geography, skill sets, and lived experience. And so today, the nomination committee has moved 6 nominees forward as candidates in the election for these 2 seats, and we'll get to hear from these candidates shortly. I also wanted to say that we had so much interest from folks in being a part of our board, and so we hope that anyone who is interested in being involved will join us in other ways. So we currently have 5 committees that you can sign up to be a part of, and we are always open to other ideas as things progress. We truly want this to be a community that we all build and contribute to together. And so we were really grateful to see so many folks step up and offer to do that. And so before I introduce our 6 board candidates, I wanted to explain the voting process and talk a little bit about our board member roles and responsibilities. So voting will be open from now 6 p.m. Eastern through Friday, July 1st, 6 p.m. Eastern for a total of 72 hours. So all current members of Technologists for the Public Good are eligible to vote. So we did send out an email this morning sharing some more information about the voting process, including each of the bios for each of the 6 candidates. And current members should have also received a separate message from the voting software vendor. We use Helios, and it should be coming from the Helios email from heliosvoting.org. and the subject line as Technologists for the Public Good 2022 board election. So that email includes a one-time username and password that you'll use to log in and vote. And each member may vote for up to 2 candidates. And again, voting will close at 6 p.m. Eastern this Friday, July 1st. If anyone has any questions about voting at any time, we have got a channel on our Slack, ask.tpg. And then you can also email us at hi@publicgood.tech, and we'll go ahead and answer any of your questions there. I also just wanted to hold a few minutes here if folks have any questions. You can also drop it in the chat. We'll also have some time to field any questions later on during today's session as well. All right, awesome. And I also wanted to share a little more context about what we anticipate the board member roles and responsibilities to look like, to help folks evaluate who's going to be a good fit for the role or for the 2 roles. Because our organization is still fairly young, we want to be upfront and clear that this is going to be a working board. So we expect that our board members roll up their sleeves and really put in the time and work to help us support and stand up this organization. And so we anticipate typically about 5 hours per month for meetings, work sessions, events, and other activities. Second, we are here to lead a co-creation process. So it's important to have a point of view about what this field needs and to also balance that by putting our community members at the center of what we build. It'll also be our responsibility to really represent all the different types of people who make up this work or who should make up this work. And so, of course, we are seeking a broad range of voices who can do that, including different genders, races, identities, geographies, sectors, skill sets, lived experiences, and backgrounds. And it's also important for us to be creative and resourceful. We all have limited time. This is unpaid volunteer work. I know our current board members have busy jobs, lots of side hustles. This is one of many boards people are on, families, other demands. And so, we're all in this together, and it is important that we'll, work creatively and be resourceful together. And then, very importantly, this group is also going to be responsible for continuing to set the direction of this organization. So that means upholding and shaping our values and culture, designing our strategy and action plan going forward, and continuing to secure resources to carry all of this out. So now I wanted to give some time to hear from each of the candidates. Each candidate will have about 3 to 4 minutes to introduce yourselves and offer a short candidate statement. We won't have time for candidate questions, so this will be your only opportunity to hear directly from the candidates themselves. And we have each of the candidates going in alphabetical order. So first up we've got is Hirsch Gupta.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you to everyone involved. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. So you're welcome to read my bio, but I'll start with a little story. I was hired as the first data scientist working in homelessness in the city of Washington, D.C. And a common trope with data folks is that we tend to wear a lot of hats, particularly when there's few other technical folks around. So just in the course of a few short years, I went from being a data scientist to being an engineer, standing up our entire homelessness analytics services, to being a product manager, partnering with volunteer organizations like DataKind and Code for America, where we built applications to make a very complex homelessness system less opaque. And so I've worked closely with the kinds of stakeholders, primarily state and local governments, where technological innovation is rare, but I'd say it's revolutionary, where there's many opportunities for making the kinds of changes that are transformative to individuals' lives, but are often not taken because there isn't a capacity to figure out technology while a program's about to lose its federal funding. So, if I have the opportunity to serve on this board, I would certainly bring my experience working with local government, sharing some of the knowledges of the real challenges we encounter, and promoting solutions that can help improve the public good. Even though I've only recently joined this group, I found out about the Slack channel just yesterday. I've already started to become a little bit more involved. I joined the education committee, and I plan to continue contributing what I can to this group because I really do believe in some of the values. And one more thing I'll mention on that front, I've spent this year building a community of technology-oriented folks in DC government, and I'm so looking forward to bringing them into this space. I personally believe in fostering collaboration and capacity building. It's what motivated me to apply for the board position, and it's why I'm hoping folks will vote for me today.
Thanks, Hirsch. I'm figuring out some technical difficulty or wanting to make sure that I can spotlight folks, and I'm just gonna stop the screen sharing for now. So thank you so much for your words. Our next person we've got up is Abby.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Koss. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am the vertical content leader for Amazon Web Services State and Local Government team. And I think what I could bring most to bear to this group, it's sort of two different things. It's storytelling and it's strategy. And my whole background, it's always been, I'm a writer and an editor and a strategist, and I spent 15 years teaching government what the internet is, and I've transitioned in the past year to teaching the internet what government is. And it's such a different world, and it's such an important place for us to be in. And I really think that, so when I think about how my experience of civic tech has been over the past however long, and it's not everybody's, but this was mine, industry was kind of a necessary evil, or something that everybody wanted to avoid, sort of pretend like it wasn't happening. And that worked okay for a while. But a few things are happening in our space that are so crucial, which are first, a lot of the more modern consultancies that came out of PIF and healthcare.gov and whatever, they're getting so big that they're getting to a place where they're going to start competing with the Deloittes and the Accentures of the world. And also companies like mine, companies like Google and Microsoft are starting to figure out what civic tech is and starting to pour a lot of money into this space. And so I sort of feel like it's really incumbent upon us to decide how we want to shape how these companies approach the work that we do. Because my experience has been that it's really kind of a hollow vessel. AWS doesn't have an agenda for civic tech. They kind of barely know what it is. Google has figured out that, they bought out half of the Code for America Summit this year. The companies are coming. And what I would like to do is, if folks are interested, and I know not everybody is, be the person on the inside who knows how these companies are talking, what they're prioritizing, how they see us. Because I don't see myself as a person who works for the private sector. I see myself as a government employee and a civic tech person who wanted to go to the other side and see how it works. And so I would love to bring that information back to us and help us be really strategic in terms of how we engage with these big companies who are eating the world, who are figuring out who we are, and just sort of be a partner at the table with them, which I really think we can do. So that's me.
Thanks so much, Abby. Next up, we've got Colin.
Thank you so much. And just want to say I'm honored to have this opportunity and be amongst all these amazing public technologists. It's exciting how our field has grown. So my name is Colin Mcarthur. My pronouns are he, him. I'm based in Milano, Italia most of the time. My career has spanned federal and state technology in the US, Canada, and Italy. I was an early member of 18F. I was the first director of digital practice at the Canadian Digital Service in Ottawa. And now I'm trying to inspire business students to take on public service at Università Bocconi in Milano. So I've done this in a number of different places and ways. At risk of sounding too deep, I'm here because I believe in both the promise and the peril of our movement at this time. I continue to believe, and I'm here because we have real opportunities to upend power structures and use technology as a tool and sometimes a vessel to do that. But like any growing professional group, I see that we risk becoming focused too much on our own development, on our own, place in the pecking order in organizations and so on, and losing sight of our better purpose. So I'm really excited about this group because of its ongoing work to remind us and our partners and connectors about the best of public technology and the values that we can really espouse. One particular way I'm excited to help this group is to broaden the reach and view beyond the United States and North America. I noticed that many of our civic tech conversations talk a lot about what things look like in the States and increasingly in Canada, but there are many interesting exemplars of really effective civic technology and organizations in Europe and Asia and the Middle East. And I think that that's an excellent opportunity for a professional organization to embrace. So thanks again for the honor of having me here, and I appreciate the 3 minutes. Back to you, Jen.
Thanks, Colin. And then next we have, and I don't know, not sure if I'm going to mispronounce your name, but Sidra?
Sidra, like citrus.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay, hi folks. Thank you so much for having me. I'm like really in awe of the good company we're in because I've read some of your books and I read some of your blogs. So my name is Sidra. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm like a general technologist. Used to be a web developer, web designer, but now I'm a lead service designer over at the Government of Canada in the Employment and Social Benefits Department. I've been in tech for roughly a decade. I started out in the private sector and then very quickly transitioned into the public sector. Essentially, I want to be a member of the board for TPG for one reason. I'm mad. My generation is like increasingly disenfranchised by decisions that are made by leaders that look at tech as this like holy grail, essentially, without really thinking necessarily about like the policy implications on particularly populations that have traditionally been screwed over by governance. And honestly, I feel like things are getting harder. There's an increasing divide between the ways in which civilians are able to engage with government in meaningful ways. And I want to see that gap getting closed. And I think organizations like this are the key to doing that. I believe that a digital form does not a digital government make. And so like digital transformation stuff that a lot of governments are doing right now that focuses really heavily on technical solutions doesn't resolve like the very real social impacts that a lot of us are aware of in the work that we do. And I always want to ask who's left out of that conversation. So I think like humanizing governance and decision making through advocacy of groups like this while opening up gates for communities that might not traditionally have a chance to get into government. I personally like was not a traditional recruit for government. It's all thanks to Code for Canada that I kind of snuck my way in. But at this point, I'm the kind of person that says like policies and products don't have feelings, people do. And that's kind of the core of what I do. So in terms of what I bring to the table, I have solid experience building and delivering actual government products that are public facing at all three levels of government in Canada. And I know what can go wrong when decisions are made behind closed doors with limited consultation with communities. I also have experience on both sides of the table. I've lived experience of homelessness, housing insecurity, food insecurity, poverty, disability, and I'm also an immigrant. I've lived in 4 different countries. And so it's been really interesting now that I'm in the role of doing kind of policy analysis and developing digital tools for people that were like in my position years ago, which is pretty fascinating and kind of a big honor. And that's the work I hope to continue. And essentially I've got a fair bit of experience co-creating policy with community, co-creating things like hackathons and civic innovation projects I would love to tell you about. And I have a pretty deep familiarity with like inclusive and interdisciplinary processes. And yeah, at the end of the day, like software is only as smart as the people who implement it. And I want to see those gaps on that design of public services continuum start to get smaller. And that's essentially the role that I think I'd love to play. So thank you so much. And please follow me on Twitter so you can get to know a little bit more about me. My handle is @Sidramatic. Thank you.
Thanks, Sidra. Next up, we've got Carlos.
Thank you, Jen. Well, I'm Carlos Ponz. I'm based in Brussels, Belgium. I have almost 10 years of experience working in tech in several different roles, from software engineering to product design. And lately, I'm more focused in the analysis, basically. I'm lead analyst. I have been working for several years in Brussels for European Union institutions and United Nations agencies, mainly focused on digital strategy and service design. And a bit, even if it's something quite new, system thinking in this context. Basically, why I want to join? Well, actually, 3 years ago, I tried to fund an association that it was kind of similar to Technologists for the Public Good. And it was an association that was focused on a more ethical, inclusive, and sustainable digital ecosystem in Europe. And we wanted to promote these 3 lines in Europe. I say that I tried it because it's not a thing anymore. But when I saw the association, I thought I could bring that lesson that I learned while basically collaborating with people based in different member states in Europe to try to share knowledge and to try to really make the change that we are looking to make. Personally, I'm fully committed to digital inclusion and inclusion in tech. I'm self-taught. I don't have a formal academic background. I know what this means when you try to find your way in the workforce and even more in the public sector. So it's something that defines me. I try whatever work I do, I try always to care about inclusion and cover the gaps that definitely there are a lot nowadays, and we need to put effort on that. I also a certified mentor for the International Telecommunications Union. And I'm also mentoring startups that are based in the global South, which is something that is giving me also a broader perspective on how tech is really making an impact on societies that are more or less developed. And something that I think I could bring also to the association is basically I'm working at the core of an historic digital transformation in the European Union. I see a lot of similarities within the United Nations ecosystem. And it's not just work at intergovernmental level. I'm also very, of course, enthusiastic. I'm very passionate about GovTech and civic tech. And I'm always connected with the European Union community. It can be the Dipartimento de Trasformazione Digitale from Italy, or the effort that some universities are doing in Spain, the local government in Belgium. So I try to get kind of an holistic approach of this transformation that at different levels is quite similar. So you can really find the pattern from intergovernmental to national to at the community level or local level. And I'm more than happy to be nominated to be part of the board. And that's all from my side. Happy to answer any question by LinkedIn, anything that you would like me to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. And then we also have Ayushi next.
Hi all, great to see some familiar names and faces. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear a little bit about us. I feel honored to be in such good company. So many amazing people here applying and on the board. I want to actually start with a little bit of a personal story about how I started my career. So I come from a family based here in the Bay Area, but both parents who've come from very different countries, from Nigeria and India, through forced displacement processes, and landed up in the US. This was the first country that they had a citizenship from, a legal citizenship. And that means a lot for my brother and I. And we grew up in a world, in a sort of family experience where we didn't take that lightly. We didn't take being a member of a nation state to be an easy or taken for granted. And as a result, I grew up really finding a lot of meaning in serving and giving back. And so unlike a lot of the folks I've had the opportunity to meet in my civic technology, government technology career, I've actually spent my entire career in government. I didn't come from the private sector. I started my career at the Department of State. I was a aid analyst, monitoring aid provided to women and children refugees in North Africa and the Middle East during the Syrian civil war. That's what was close to my heart because I grew up in a family with a history of displacement, and that's what I studied as an undergrad. I studied human rights in the Middle East and complit, and I don't know how I landed up here, but now I have the opportunity to call myself a product person, and I learned what I know by working for the various service agencies that I worked for at the State Department, at the City of Oakland, at the City of Boston, 18F, and now at the Technology Modernization Fund in the GSA. It's been an incredible career. I've really, I feel fortunate to have the opportunity to serve the people that I get to serve every single day, a lot of whom look like me, a lot of whose families resemble my own. And one of the things that I started to do in my free time during COVID in the last 2 years was join the electing local government officials, ELGL, the board there, as a way of trying to expand the world of civic technology among state and local, especially rural local environments. I grew up in a very rural red voting environment myself, and I wanted to encourage more folks with government interest to join the government technology space, as opposed to kind of seeking from private sector companies. And ELGL wasn't quite ready for that. And then I had some friends point me towards the work that the Technologists for Public Good were doing, supporting career civil servants and supporting the work that needs to be done at various levels of the federal, state, and local level, particularly in the US. And it just spoke to my heart. So I'm throwing my hat in to be able to bring some of my experience from state, local, and federal work, supporting career civil servants like myself in joining the digital space. And I am hoping that some of the things I had the opportunity to work on as the 18F director of state and local, and now at the TMF, of creating digital services teams all across the country, will be able to be made into reality with some of the work that's happening here. It's really about people, governance, and culture more than it is technology, I find, and I think we have an opportunity to contribute. I'll yield my time. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Ayushi. All right, so I wanted to say thank you again to all of our candidates. We wish you the best in the election. And I'm going to now actually hand it over to Stephanie to wrap things up today. So Stephanie,
would you?
Yeah, yep, I can go ahead.
Right. Like Jen mentioned, I'm Stephanie, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the vice president of the board. So now that you've had a chance to hear from each of the 6 candidates, we'll revisit the process for voting. As you're making a decision about who to vote for, remember that Jen sent an email out this morning with each of the candidates' bio information and links to their LinkedIn profiles. But if you did not receive that message, it's probably because you're not on our email list. So in that case, please feel free to email us at hi@publicgood.tech or ping us on ask-tpg to get added to the list. And I'll also post the newsletter here in chat in a moment. So voting will be open now, and will be open through 6 p.m. Eastern this Friday, July 1st. And if you are a current TPG member, you should see an email from the voting software vendor called Helios in your inboxes. It has a one-time username and password for you to log into and vote. And you can vote for up to 2 candidates. If you have any questions or run into any problems, again, please ping us on ask-tpg or at hi@publicgood.tech. So let's move on to the weeks ahead. Right after this upcoming US holiday weekend on Tuesday, July 5th, we'll announce our new board members. And the board will meet again in late July to kick off and onboard those 2 folks. We'll hold another town hall this fall to share updates on where we are with more ways to plug into this amazing network. And in the meantime, our committees are putting together programming and events. So please join our Slack to keep updated on other things that are happening. We have a few minutes left, so we'd love to open up questions about the voting process or about TPG overall, but unfortunately we won't have time for any questions to candidates. So with that, let me pause. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to raise? All right, not seeing anything in chat or hearing any voices. So with that, we would like to say thank you for being here and please go vote. And we'll drop again the link to Slack, to the membership form, and we're around if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. We'll give everyone the time back. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.